Okay, it's Friday night, rainy Friday night as usual, and we got our transmission torn apart. I actually torn it apart last night. Pulled it out Sunday afternoon like I said I was going to do. And I'm just going to show you what is inside of this transmission, what was done to it, and how well it held up. There's about, if my memory serves me right, there's about 3 full seasons of bracket racing on this. The last time it was freshened up. Of course, it sat for 6 years. If you watch all my videos, you know the history of all that. But this transmission is still in very good shape. I could have easily left it together and everything would have been fine. But I wanted to be sure since I had everything apart. And I am going to put a fresh kit in it with all new rubber seals and gaskets and clutches and steels. I have an auto kit with some auto clutches, which are supposed to be really good. I've never tried those. I usually use raised asbestos or stuff like that. But here are the clutches out of the direct drum, which is, I believe, is reverse high. I know it's high gear. I think it's reverse high. Can't remember exactly. But they look almost new. If you notice, some of them are darker than the others. And I can't remember exactly what I did, but I have done this before. A lot of times when you buy a kit for a transmission, you will get extra clutches, and over the years I had built several of these type transmissions, not only for myself but for other people, and you'll have a few leftover clutches, and I accumulated enough new extra clutches to be able to buy only a seal and gasket and tension ring kit and not have to buy the clutches. So, and they just came out different kits, and it doesn't hurt a thing. They're the same diameter, they serve the same purpose. As you can see here, these are black, but they are not burnt. That is just a different material, and they've all held up great. You can't see any blue marks on the steels or anything. Now, the things I've done different to this transmission to make it not quite stop, it has, there you go, Mark. I also throw stuff around and put nicks in it, but instead of the thrust washers like this goes here. Most of these transmissions have thrust washers. Excuse my voice, I'm very hoarse. They're tearing some stuff apart at work, and they should enclose it, but they're not, and it's probably unsafe and unhealthy, but what can you do? But now that my throat's clear, let's get back to what I was saying. Normally, on a stock transmission, there would be a thrust washer here. This is a Torrington bearing. What that does, it cuts back on friction, and they hold up a lot better instead of rubbing. And this transmission has all Torrington bearings from front to back except for this one thrust washer here. This right here is a Torrington bearing that was machined out a long time ago by me where I used to work on a lathe, and we got one rides here. I believe this piece goes there, and I had to machine that groove out. And the reason I had to machine the groove out, I had to make up for the difference in thickness from the Torrington bearing compared to the original thrust washer, so you would have the right end play. And there's another one right there. Everything else is stock. This doesn't have any heavy-duty sprags. I don't have the good, strong 6-pinion planetaries, which I would like to get that stuff later. This does have a 4-pinion. I think that, well, okay, this one's a 3 and that one's a 4. Okay, yeah, those are nothing special about those. This transmission came out of a 76 Thunderbird is what it came out of. And here are the rear clutches that go in the case. As you can see, they're, if a guy had an old transmission to throw together that he needed to just throw together and get running to sell a car or something, he could put these in there and there would be nothing wrong with doing that because they're in great shape. I'll hang on to them. You never know when I might want to piece together a transmission for cheap. There's one more piston I need to get out of here. I have a homemade tool to get that out. Because there is a retainer ring, there's springs underneath of it, hold that piston in tight, and there's the snap ring right there. And to compress that, I have a homemade tool that I made a long time ago. Right here, I cannot believe I found it that quick. You can see how long it's been since I've used it. See all the dirt on it, which I will clean off before I use it. But what I do is I take that off, take the nut off, and this part will come up through here, and this adjustable arm has set screws right here where I can loosen it and move those in and out. That is good for removing, compressing that plate there so I can remove the snap ring. I can also use it on the piston down in here, which you can't really see. Well, there's the spring retainer right there, and there's also a disc spring here, which I don't really need my compressor tool for that. But what I'm going to do tonight is get the rest of that apart. I have to take this governor housing off, and I'm just going to clean it out real good and let it dry for in the morning and start putting stuff together. I still need to open up my kit, make sure I have everything. Ordered a kit months ago and I haven't even opened the box. So I'm probably not going to do a lot of videoing of the putting it together, because I'm getting to the point where I want to get all this together and start putting stuff back on the car and hopefully get to try this thing out before the racing season ends. This is middle of September already, headed towards late September. Okay, it's Saturday afternoon now, still raining, and we broke open our kit. Here's what all you get in a rebuild kit. This is a kit without steels. I thought it had steels, but that's fine. My steels look good, and what I will do is I will sand them, scuff them up a little bit, get that glaze off of them. Trick an old transmission builder taught me a long time ago. But here is the gasket and seal kit. You get all your rubber O-rings. A lot of these rubber O-rings go in places like the piston. This is the forward clutch piston right here. Got my new clutches right there, soaking in fluid. Now this transmission has 5 clutches in the forward drum and the direct drum, which is reverse high. And this kit only has 4. Luckily, I ordered 2 kits because I'm going to have to rebuild the Torino's transmission too. And I've got some spare clutches to complete that kit if needed when I do the Torino. But first thing I need to do is need to replace these rubber seals. Like I said earlier, when you don't have new steels and your old ones still look pretty good, like this one does, you do want to kind of resurface them a little bit. Not take really any metal off, making them thinner, but just want to kind of resurface them. I like to take a piece of 180 grit, wrapped around this 4x4 block, clamped it in a vise, and you just do that. And it seems to work pretty good. I used to do it the hard way, hold it down on a table with a piece of sandpaper in my hand and sand all the way around them. Took a lot of time, and it really made your fingers hurt after a while. But as you can see, it doesn't take no time to get that glaze off of there. And I will do them all like that. A little more here. Probably wouldn't hurt to put a little transmission fluid on that, since it is wet. It's supposed to be wet sandpaper, so it will hold up good for that. And actually, that is good enough right there. Now I gotta do all the others like that. Alright, so we'll start on our forward clutch drum. I'm gonna replace the seals in it, put the clutches in it, show you how that goes. Got an inner seal right there. And here is my new one, which I'm soaking in fluid. It's the round seal on this one. Different models of different years have different types of seals. Luckily, in the outer seal, it's just a regular flat seal. There is a lip seal, I think, on the Fords. I know a lot of GMs do. I think 350 turbos maybe. The lip seals are a pain in the butt. Some of the Fords do have them too, but this seal right here, if it's got a lip seal in it, they're a pain in the butt to get in, because when you got to put that piston back down in the bore, it's not fun. You have to, and that is the wrong seal. I got the wrong seal out of the kit. Let's see. Should be. It's not this one. This one. here is a lip seal. This is what they look like. This kit, I hope this kit does not have the wrong seal. Alright, found the right seal. It had two different ones in the kit. And the outer seal just goes back on the piston like that. I always put a little fluid on it before I work it in. And there that is. And this drum has a disc spring behind the piston. It goes in like that, where it's pointing down, faces the piston. You also got to put this ring right here in this groove. Then we can put our snap ring back in. Make sure it's down in the grooves, because if you don't get it down in there, when that thing applies, it's all going to come out and tear everything up. Always just kind of tap around it. Yes, I'm ruining a screwdriver. I don't care. It's a cheap screwdriver. There we go. Now we start with our lower pressure plate. It's the one with the radius on it. You can see the radius right there. The radius goes down, and you can see where it rides on that spring disc. That spring disc is what helps push the piston back down, as I said earlier. And here is one clutch. One steel, put a little fluid on it. These clutches, if you remember, I had different type clutches in this direct. Two of them were black, and I think three of them were the brown Raybestos clutches. And I did notice the black ones, they were not wore, but they were thinner. So we need to check our stock clearance here, make sure it's not too tight. I just looked it up. Been a while since I had to do one of these, and one thing I do remember, a rule of thumb, they always recommended about 10 thousandths per clutch, which you can go a little looser. I found out that if you go on the loose side on clearance, you get a good firmer shift. I used to think tighter was better. Found out that can burn clutches. Not good. So put that on there, and find my snap ring. Where is it? I think that's it right there. Make sure I got the right snap ring here. Yeah, there's the snap ring for that. I think. There we go. That feels a little tight, so we might have to, I may have some more of those thinner clutches in there, and you might not like the sound of this, but I may have to put those two used thinner clutches back in, because that feels too tight. Let me get my feeler gauge. Alright, here's all my tension rings in a little separate baggie. And we'll compare them to the old. And that should be them. New one. Put the old one aside. Looking good. And you got to be careful with these. These are kind of brittle. And you can break them. Put a little fluid on them. Especially, the first groove not too bad, but when you got to go into the first groove, out of it, and into the second groove, that's when it gets a little tricky and you can break them. You can also break those little locking tabs if you get it on there too. Let's see if I can do this without putting my head in front of the camera. There we go, it locked in. I got that ring groove on this side. I'm not sure if that matters, but I always space out the grooves just like you would a piston ring. Put them on the opposite side of each other. And that's the forward clutch drum packed and ready with new clutches. Clearance is checked. Should be good. And there's plenty of fluid in there. So even though I wiped it off, I think I'm just going to leave it like it is. And I'll go to the direct.